This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. For a couple of years now, the Pentagon has raised a growing concern for the U.S. military. Recruitment levels are dropping pretty fast. The Pentagon is particularly focused on recruitment levels for younger millennials and Gen Z. A Department of Defense survey found that when young people were asked how likely is it that you will serve in the military, only 11% responded definitely or probably. So the military has been investing in some unexpected strategies. A huge one, video games. Yeah, the Pentagon is hoping the world of esports, streaming, and gaming will turn things around for their generational recruitment crisis. Now, technically, video games aren't totally new territory for US military recruitment. In the early 2000s, the Pentagon released its own game called America's Army, a multiplayer shooting game in the vein of Call of Duty or Counter-Strike. After decades of pretty reasonable success, it eventually discontinued in early 2022. The US military has also collaborated with game makers behind franchises like Call of Duty or Doom, sometimes using modified versions of games to teach recruits, at other times consulting with game designers to plan realistic war scenarios, or even recruiting game designers for Washington think tanks focused on military strategy. So this relationship is decades old, but the dropping numbers of military applicants in recent years has ushered in a new era in the gaming military complex. And this is where esports and streaming have really dominated.
All right, you guys ready for this first military branch battle?
There is now a pro esports team for every branch of the military. Even Space Force. They compete with other pro teams, other military branches, shout out to the Air Force on their win earlier this month, and even other allied countries' military teams. The military also sponsors many esports tournaments, which helps enlarge their presence even more. They've also steadily been streaming on the massively popular platform Twitch, the top gaming streaming site in the world. But this is where recruiters have most recently run into trouble. Twitch's age limit is only 13 years old, and critics have objected to using such recruitment tactics on children. In some cases, the military allegedly had links with vague messages like "sign up to win," which, when clicked through, only led to recruitment forms.
Right now, currently, children on platforms such as Twitch are bombarded with banner ads that link to recruitment sign-up forms that can be submitted by children as young as 12 years old. These are not educational outreach programs, but recruitment forms for the military.
In 2020, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even proposed an amendment to a fiscal bill to stop the military from using video games for recruitment. Lawmakers voted against it, 292 votes to 126. Though it didn't pass, it renewed attention on the controversial practice and put a strain on the military's video game push. Around the same time as the House vote, the Army found itself in hot water after banning viewers on Twitch who trolled and criticized the military, including writer and activist Jordan Uhl.
Have a nice time getting banned, my dude.
After being sued for violating free speech, the military temporarily left Twitch altogether. Some critics have also pointed out the dangers of trivializing war and militarized violence for children by equating it with a video game. Even today, the Air Force has a game directly on its website called Airmen Challenge that lets you learn about drones and operate one to bomb insurgents in Middle Eastern countries like Afghanistan and Iraq. It's unclear what exactly is next for the military's big recruitment push in video games. Although the recruitment practice has repeatedly found itself in controversy, it seems to be far from slowing down. Esports tournaments and sponsorships are only continuing, and the military has cautiously waded back into the world of streaming. Streaming platforms like Twitch face particular scrutiny for military recruitment because of the way the community operates. Here to explain more is Newsy's video game correspondent and producer of the award-winning Next Level series, Matt Picht. Matt, can you tell us why Twitch is such a huge part of recruitment efforts, and why was that particularly controversial?
Twitch is a particularly fertile ground for that. Most of the Twitch audience is male, and plurality of it, 41%, ended up being about in the 16 to 24 range, which is what they're really aiming for. And when recruiters are engaging with people on Twitch, it isn't sort of a passive one-way conversation in the same way that it might be on other social media platforms. People are in the chat, they're interacting with the streamer, they're asking questions, they're reacting to things that happen in the game. It's a very active kind of dynamic relationship that gets broadcast out to potentially thousands of people at a time. So it can be a very effective tool for the military branches to kind of get their message out there. As for why it's controversial, well, the specific problem with Twitch is that there's really no way to target your message or determine who's watching your streams. Any Twitch user from ages 13 or up can potentially log on and hop onto that stream and watch and get the same messages that everyone else is getting. And some parents of very young kids might not be super excited about that.
Outside of recruitment, can you tell us a bit more about the relationship between the military and the gaming industry? Is this the main way that they have collaborated?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. The U.S. military and the video game industry actually has a long-running and very complicated history. Many of the first sort of early video games in like the 1960s and such were built using funds or technology that was really developed for military purposes. These days, the military and video games kind of interact in three main ways. The military kind of gets an image boost from a lot of popular video games. Stuff like Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and things tend to portray military service as very active and engaging and fun. The military also uses video game technology to create simulations and war games and things, sort of using it for training or exercises and stuff like that. And finally, sort of an emerging use case here, a lot of veterans that are dealing with PTSD, some of them actually are getting treatment for those conditions using video game technology. There are VR simulations and things that simulate some of the traumatic experiences that veterans have gone through to kind of have them engage and confront those fears in a more controlled space and things. So video games as a technology have like a wide variety of applications and uses, and the military is taking full advantage of those things to help it, sort of carry out its mission.
Newsy video game correspondent and producer of Newsy's Next Level series, Matt Pick. Matty, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you.